I have watched people ruin their money for 40 years. Most people think wealth comes from one bold move. They are wrong. The real game is 17 small boring habits done every single day. After a lifetime studying Charlie Munger, I learned that tiny repeated acts beat huge rare acts every single time. Listen to me. I am going to walk you through the 17 tiny habits that built more quiet fortunes than any hot stock pick ever will. By the end, you will know exactly what to do this week, not next year. I watched a man I knew pour his entire retirement into one stock tip from a coworker. He was 51 years old. He had $340,000 saved over 25 years of steady work. Within 11 months, the stock fell 78%. By the time he finally called me, he had $74,800 left and could not sleep at night. Run the math with me. If he had left that $340,000 alone in a boring index fund for those same 11 months, he would have had roughly $358,000. He lost around $283,000 chasing a tip. He lost about $25,000 every single month while he waited for the comeback that never came. 5 years later, that lost $283,000 would have grown into roughly $390,000 if he had simply done nothing. The cost of one tip, one dinner table moment, one burst of confidence sat somewhere north of $600,000 by the time he turned 60. His mistake was not the stock, his mistake was the model. He believed wealth comes from one swing, one tip, one big moment of courage. That belief is poison for ordinary people. The model that works is the opposite. Wealth comes from 17 tiny boring acts done the same way year after year until the math takes over. Most people never meet the math because they never give it enough years in a row. The math is patient. It will wait for you for decades if you stop interrupting it. Carry this single idea for the next 40 minutes. Tiny repeated acts beat huge rare acts every time, not sometimes, not often, every time. If you sit with that sentence long enough, it will quietly change how you treat every dollar you will ever earn, and it will save you from at least 3 disasters other people will not avoid. I have spent the last 30 years studying one man, Charlie Munger, who turned about $1,000 of his own money into most of a fortune by doing almost nothing dramatic. He read, he waited, he wrote down what he was bad at. He bought a few great things and held them for decades. He said that patience is the rarest of all human qualities and that the right move for most people is to do nothing for long stretches and then act when the time comes. That is the model I am handing you today, distilled into 17 separate habits you can actually do. Those 17 habits are split into 3 pillars. Pillar 1 is the 6 habits that keep more of what you earn. Pillar 2 is the 6 habits that make that money work while you sleep. Pillar 3 is the 5 habits that keep your head clear so you do not blow everything up in a single bad weekend. Every pillar follows the same pattern. We will name the habits one by one. We will kill the 3 most common objections. We will prove each pillar with one simple person A versus person B arithmetic story. We will end with one concrete action you can take this week, not this lifetime. Pillar 1, habits 1 through 6. Pillar 1 is about keeping more of what you earn. Most people think the way to wealth is to earn more. That is half true. The other half is keeping what you earn. A man earning $200,000 a year and spending $210,000 is poorer at the end than a man earning $60,000 and saving half his take-home pay. The difference is the pillar we are about to walk through together slowly, because most of your financial life will be spent in this pillar, whether you realize it or not. Habit 1 is the most uncomfortable habit in the entire 17. For one full month, you write down every single dollar that leaves your pocket, not what you meant to spend, what you actually spent: coffee, subscriptions, lunch, the late-night Amazon cart at 11:47 p.m., the morning stop at the drive-thru, the gym you have not visited since March. Most people who try this habit honestly for 30 days discover they burn about 18% of their income on things they do not even remember buying the next morning. That 18% is the average American ghost spending. It is the silent leak that sinks the ship. The leak does not feel like a leak because nobody ever tracked it before. Habit 2 is the 24-hour rule. For any purchase over $100, you write it down today and you wait 24 hours before you buy it. That is the whole habit. No app, no spreadsheet, a pencil on the fridge door. About 70% of items people write down never get bought the next day. The cheap thrill dies overnight. The thing you actually need, you still buy tomorrow. This habit alone will save the average 40-year-old about $3,400 a year without any suffering or deprivation. Pain delayed is pain avoided. Habit 3 of Pillar 1 is read one page of a great book every night. Not a business book, not a money book, a great book. Charlie Munger said repeatedly that his edge came from reading what other people would not read and then sitting with it for 50 years. One page is 4 minutes, 5 pages on weekends. After 1 year you have read 365 pages of something most people will never read. After 10 years you think differently than your co-workers. After 30 years you think differently than the market itself. Reading is the only habit where the small version of the act and the big version of the act cost exactly the same amount of time. Habit 4 is walk away from anyone promising fast money, not negotiate, walk away. I have watched retirees lose everything to a man with a smooth voice and a 14-page pitch deck. The voice is the same in every city. It says the words limited time and insiders only, and I made 400% last year. Run, the fastest way to keep your money is to physically leave the room the moment someone uses those phrases. Slow down to 0, stand up, leave, do not text back. Habit 5 is the hardest one because it goes against your pride. Keep your mouth shut when you do not know. The man at the beginning of this video, the one who lost about $283,000, would not have lost a cent if he had stayed quiet at the dinner table when his co-worker floated that stock tip. Silence is free. Pride is expensive. Most financial disasters start with one sentence a man should never have said. The hardest sentence to swallow is "I don't know yet," and it is the sentence that saves the most dollars. Habit 6 and the last habit of Pillar 1 is pay yourself first. On the day your paycheck lands, before you pay the rent, before you pay the cards, before you buy groceries or gas, you move 20% of the gross straight into a separate savings account. You treat your future self like a bill that can never be late. If you skip the lights, you sleep in the dark. If you skip the car payment, you lose the car. If you skip yourself, you lose 30 years of growth. Skip yourself once, and the math never forgives you. Picture two women named Janet and her sister Linda. Janet earned $62,000 a year and applied habits 1 through 6. Linda earned $92,000 a year and ignored them. Janet saved about $11,500 a year. Linda saved $1,200. $10 years later, Janet had roughly $114,000 in savings before counting any growth. Linda had $12,000 and a nicer car. Janet did not earn more than Linda. Janet spent less on purpose. That is the whole trick of Pillar 1. The paycheck size is half the story. The kept paycheck is the other half. The kept dollar is the only dollar the math respects. So step 1 in your life this week is open your bank app, set up an automatic transfer of 20% of your paycheck to a savings account that is separated from your debit card and schedule it to land on payday. Do it before you do anything else. Do not negotiate with yourself. Do it once. The system will run the habit for you. Pillar 2, Habits 7 through 12. Pillar 2 is where quiet money becomes loud money. You have kept some of what you earn. Now we put it to work and we set rules so it can survive your own future panic. Most people do Pillar 1 for a year, find $1,000 in savings and then freeze. They do not know what comes next. Pillar 2 is the answer to that freeze. Habit 7. Before the first day of the month begins, you write down where every dollar of the month will go. Rent, food, gas, the car insurance that hits every February, the 20% into savings, the $200 into investments, the buffer for the surprise birthday. This is not a budget. A budget is a wish you write down on Sunday and break on Wednesday. This is a job description for each dollar. Most people who do this honestly for 90 days cut their monthly waste by about 23%. The waste did not even feel like waste until it had a label on it. Habit 8 is the emergency fund, and most people skip this one because they want to start investing today. Wait, before you put a single dollar into investments, you keep 6 months of bare-bones living expenses in a savings account that you do not link to your debit card. 6 months of groceries, rent, insurance, not 6 months of your current lifestyle. 6 months of the lowest version of your life. This stack of cash is what stops you from selling your investments in a panic when the car dies or the job disappears. The emergency fund is not an investment. It is the floor of the house the investments live in. Habit 9 is the rule that has saved more ordinary investors than any law ever written. You never buy an investment you cannot explain out loud to a 10-year-old. If you cannot say in simple words what this thing does and where the money comes from, you do not touch it. Period. If you cannot write those 3 sentences on a napkin, you are not investing. You are gambling dressed up as investing. This one rule alone would have prevented roughly 90% of the blow-ups I have watched in the last 30 years. Habit 10 of Pillar 2 is add money to your investments on the same day every month. The first Friday, the 15th, whatever the date, you pick it once and you never miss it. This habit turns into a force in 2008, in 2020, in 2022, in the next crash we do not yet know the name of, because the money buys whether the news is screaming or whether the news is calm. 2 men, Dave and his brother Paul, were both 34. Dave put $400 a month into a boring index fund and held it through every crash. Paul tried to time the market, moving money in and out, hunting the right moment. Over 20 years, Dave put in $96,000 and ended up with roughly $416,000. Paul put in $84,000 because he kept waiting and ended up with about $112,000. $304,000 is the price of boredom. Boredom is cheap, panic is expensive. Habit 11 is spread your money across at least 20 different things, not because 20 is a magic number, because by the time you have done the homework to pick 20 things, you have stopped trying to pick the next apple. Concentration makes geniuses rich. Concentration makes ordinary people broke. A boring total stock market index fund holds hundreds or thousands of companies in one purchase. One purchase. That is the simplest version of spreading it out. The market is bigger than your opinion of the market. Not the next hot stock, a boring index fund. Habit 12 is hold everything for at least 5 years. The first year feels exciting. The second year feels confusing. The third year often feels stupid. The fourth year usually feels scary. The fifth year is where the math quietly takes over. Most investment disasters happen in years 1 through 3. Year 4 is the survival test. Year 5 is the reward. If you cannot promise yourself 5 years, do not bother with the first year. The market does not reward tourists. Time in the market beats timing the market. Every cycle, every decade, every century. Picture a teacher named Tom and a contractor named Frank, both 38 years old in 2003. Tom put $300 a month into a boring index fund and never touched it. Frank put $700 a month in for 2 years, panicked in 2008, sold at the bottom, and never got back in the same way. Tom held for 20 years and ended up with roughly $246,000 from $72,000 of contributions. Frank put $61,200 in total and walked out with $28,400 after fees and after his own selling. The arithmetic is not close. Tom worked for less money, panicked less, and finished with nearly 9 times the retirement account. Panic is the most expensive feeling in personal finance, and you can insure yourself against it before it ever arrives. Not the bigger paycheck, the smaller panic. So step 2 in your life this week is open one brokerage account, link it to your checking, and set up an automatic monthly transfer of even just $50 into a total stock market index fund. $50, pick a date, stop touching it. The size does not matter in week 1. The structure matters in week 1. The size will follow as your income grows. The structure is the asset. Pillar 3, Habits 13 through 17. Pillar 3 is the one nobody talks about because it has nothing to do with money on the surface. Charlie Munger said that the biggest reason smart people go broke is that they do not manage their own psychology. Pillar 1 kept the money. Pillar 2 grew the money. Pillar 3 keeps you from blowing it all up in a single bad weekend. Habit 13, sit alone for 20 minutes every morning before your phone. No scrolling, no news, no email, no CNBC, no podcasts, just you and a chair. This is the habit that Munger practiced for about 80 years. 20 minutes a day is 121 hours a year of clarity you would have given to Twitter for free. The point is not to think positive thoughts. The point is to get one quiet hour inside your own head before the loud world colonizes it for the rest of the day. Habit 14 is keep a written list of every time you were wrong about money. I keep mine in a small black notebook. The first entry reads, bought a tech stock in 1999 because the conference was exciting. The list now has 47 entries. Read the list once a month. Memory is a kind liar. The notebook is honest. Reading your own past mistakes monthly is the cheapest education in the world, and most people pay tuition to avoid it. Habit 15 is read what your enemy reads before you argue with him. Most arguments about money collapse the minute you actually read the other side's best book. If you only read books that confirm what you already believe, eventually you will defend a position nobody sensible holds and the market will eat you. Read the bear case for your favorite stock. Read the bull case for cash. Read the book your brother-in-law is swearing by. Inversion is the cheapest edge on Wall Street. Habit 16 is say no to 9 out of every 10 opportunities that come your way. This is the T. Rap of people in their 40s with finally enough money to chase shiny things. A friend with a rental idea. A cousin with a crypto scheme. A seminar in a hotel ballroom. The yardstick is simple. If you cannot explain the upside and the downside in 2 sentences each, the answer is no. Every yes to a bad deal is a no to a good life. Habit 17 is the Sunday review. Every Sunday night, 15 minutes, you sit down and answer 4 questions. What worked this week? What did not work? What did I spend money on that I regret? What is the one thing I will do differently next week? Most people skip this habit because it feels small and devotional. The ones who keep it for 10 years look back and cannot believe how far they have come. Picture a woman named Susan and a co-worker named Karen, both earning about $78,000 a year. Susan did the Sunday review for 10 years. Karen never did. Susan bought a $4,500 used car at the right time. Karen bought a $32,000 new car at the wrong time. Susan invested the savings. Karen financed the depreciation. After 20 years, Susan had roughly $310,000 saved. Karen had $44,000, same salary, same city, same 2 decades. Susan's 15-minute Sunday habit built $266,000 of difference. That is the price of one quiet evening a week. Not the lucky break, the slow Sunday. So step 3 in your life this week is set a 15-minute calendar alert for Sunday night at 9 p.m. The title of the event should read Weekly Review. Do it alone, do it on paper, do not skip week 1. The first review will feel awkward. The 10th review will feel obvious. The 100th review will feel like a quiet superpower. Every good plan dies in the same place. It is not the math, it is not the stock market, it is not your income, it is month 7. By month 7 the small habits feel embarrassing. You are saving $300 a month, your neighbor just posted a boat, your brother-in-law just posted a Tesla, your coworker just bragged about a 40% return in 8 weeks. Month 7 is the graveyard of good intentions. Month 7 is the moment the rails get tested. Willpower breaks the same way every time. You feel stupid. You feel behind. You feel like the disciplined path is for suckers. The brain is built to compare and the brain is built to chase shiny things. The strongest pull you will ever feel in your financial life is the pull to copy someone who looks rich on the surface. Most people give in. They put the $300 into the Tesla stock. They buy the boat on a payment plan. They show up at the seminar in the hotel ballroom. Within 18 months, they have less than they started with. The shame keeps them quiet for another decade. Willpower is a candle, structure is a lamp. The fix is not more willpower. Willpower runs out. The fix is structure. You set up the transfers on payday. You set up the monthly investment. You set up the Sunday review on the calendar. You set up the morning sit with a real alarm across the room, not the phone on the nightstand. You remove the choice from the moment of weakness. Decisions made at noon are stronger than decisions made at 11 p.m. when the neighbor just posted the boat. Defaults win because they do not need your feelings. They run while you sleep, while you are tired, while you are jealous, while you are scared, while your brother-in-law is texting you a tip. The 20% transfer hits on payday whether you woke up confident or woke up panicked. The monthly investment buys on the third Friday whether the news is screaming or whether the news is calm. The structure protects the life you are building from the feelings that try to tear it down. Goals and systems are not the same thing. A goal is a feeling. I will save more this year. I will invest more this year. Goals die the day the feeling dies. A system is a rail. On the first Friday of every month, $400 moves from checking to index fund. Rails do not have feelings. Rails have schedules. Your job in years 1 through 10 is to lay rail after rail after rail until the structure carries you the way a skeleton carries a body. You build the skeleton in the quiet years. The skeleton carries you in the loud years. If you only remember one piece of this entire video, remember this. The discipline you hate in month 7 is the discipline that pays you back in year 7, year 15, and year 30. The first $50,000 you save is the hardest. The second $50,000 is easier because the rails are already built. The third $50,000 feels automatic. The fourth $50,000 feels like a quiet superpower. None of that is talent, all of it is structure. The life you want is on the other side of the structure, and the structure is on the other side of the 7 months of stubbornness that almost everyone quits during. 17 tiny habits, 3 pillars, 1 life, that is the whole frame. Wealth is not a personality trait, it is not a genetic gift, it is not a single brilliant trade. Wealth is a daily architecture built out of small boring acts you committed to long before the world told you they were smart. If you do these 17 habits for 10 years, you will have some money. If you do them for 30 years, you will have freedom. If you do them for 50 years, you will have a kind of quiet dignity that no billboard can sell. You will be the person in the room who is calm when others panic. You will be the parent who calls the bluff when the family wants to borrow against the house. You will be the friend who says no to get-rich-quick pitch without sounding preachy. That is not money. That is a way of life. Notice what these 17 habits do not contain. None of them require a 6-figure salary. None of them require a college degree. None of them require luck, timing, or a rich uncle. None of them depend on the person you are dating or the city you live in. They depend only on the structure you build while no one is watching. That is why they work in every country, every economy, every decade. They are about life, not about money. Money is a side effect of life lived this way. The point was never the account balance. The point was always what the balance was supposed to buy you. Options, quiet, time with people you love, the confidence to walk away from what hurts, the right to say no on a Tuesday morning without checking your bank app first. The cumulative weight of 17 tiny habits done daily for decades is not a number. It is a kind of freedom that no single grand gesture ever produces, and no one will ever take it away from you once you have built it. You spent the next 40 minutes of your life in this seat. That is not a small thing. Most of the days you have left are spoken for, between work and sleep and the quiet obligations no one thanks you for. The fact that you spent one of those slices here says something about the direction you are walking. Hold on to that direction. The next video is on the 7 money mistakes people in their 50s make that almost no one in their 40s warns them about. It builds directly on the pillar 3 habits we just covered. If the mind habits section was the part that hit you hardest today, the next video is your second chapter in the same room. Hit subscribe because the work is just beginning. This is not content, this is a discipline, and disciplines require community to survive. The people who quietly build real wealth for 30 years almost always have a quiet room they return to, a small table of people walking the same road. When you join this channel, you walk into that room. We do not post noise, we do not chase trends. We post the second layer, the third layer, and the layers after that. You will need them. So will I. The rails are still being laid.